here though, bro. I stay right here. I just called Cat. It's witnesses right here, bro.
Security guard Trennell Williams is charged with the August murder of comedian Reggie Carroll.
You're the one that put him in a position where he thought he was God and could call himself Jesus.
I've already reported him on several occasions that he's pointing a gun at me. And since he's not being punished, there was nothing to deter him from constantly doing that.
Cat Williams reveals usually means another explosive Hollywood interview, another viral moment, or another warning about the entertainment industry. But this time, the phrase is tied to something far darker. A comedian is dead.
This time when he pointed the gun at me, he was blocking the front door. So when I grabbed the weapon that was close by and used it for self-defense and called the police immediately, I was honestly in fear for my life.
A longtime member of Cat Williams' inner circle is now facing a murder charge. And suddenly, people online are asking whether this story is much bigger than anyone first realized. According to multiple reports, Cat Williams' longtime security guard Trennell Williams was indicted by a grand jury on first-degree murder charges after the shooting death of comedian Reggie Carroll inside a Mississippi home connected to Cat Williams.
In the hall with y'all from Baltimore, man. Reggie Carroll, on tour with Cat Williams, allegedly found dead, shot 5 times in front of Cat Williams' home. Allegedly, Cat Williams' cousin was arrested for the murder.
What first sounded like a tragic roommate dispute quickly spiraled into a national conversation filled with disturbing claims, alleged threats, recorded confrontations, and questions nobody seems able to answer clearly. Trennell insists the shooting was self-defense. He claims Carroll repeatedly threatened him during the months they lived together and says he even documented some of the violent encounters because he believed something bad was eventually going to happen.
If they're constantly making threats with a firearm, we have to intervene early or that will gradually grow with a snowball effect and grow into a bigger problem.
Williams says this is one of several videos he recorded leading up to the August 20th deadly shooting at his home.
So this time when he pointed the gun at me, he was blocking the front door. So when I grabbed the weapon that was close by and used it for self-defense.
But once people learned the property was reportedly leased through a company owned by Cat Williams, social media immediately exploded with speculation. Then things escalated even further when comedian Billy Sorrells publicly demanded answers from Cat himself, questioning why Reggie Carroll died at a property connected to the comedy superstar.
So, Cat Williams, tell me why Reggie Carroll died out your house. Tell us what happened to Reggie Carroll, Cat.
Suddenly, this wasn't just a criminal case anymore. It became one of the most talked about and mysterious stories in comedy. And the deeper people looked into Reggie Carroll's final months, the darker the story became. Before his name became tied to headlines and controversy, Reggie Carroll was known in comedy circles as a respected performer with years of experience on stage. Born in Baltimore, known for his sharp personality and commanding presence, Carroll built a career grinding through comedy clubs long before social media fame became the norm. Other comedians describe him as charismatic, fearless, and deeply connected within the stand-up world. Carroll wasn't just another unknown comic trying to make it. He had worked alongside major names in entertainment and shared stages with some of the biggest personalities in comedy. Fans recognized him from appearances connected to Monique, and he was also involved in projects like Knockout Kings of Comedy, which helped solidify his reputation among stand-up audiences. In recent years, Carroll had also been touring with Cat Williams during the Heaven on Earth tour. That connection would later become one of the biggest reasons this story exploded online. At the time, though, many people simply saw him as another comedian in Cat's extended circle. Talented, experienced, and still actively performing. But despite his years in comedy, Carroll never fully crossed into mainstream superstardom. He remained more of a comedian's comedian, respected heavily within entertainment circles, even if casual audiences didn't always know his name. And according to people who knew him, he had a strong personality that could either light up a room or create tension very quickly.
And he's real dumb. I guess that shit runs in our family, man. Because the other day he asked me some dumb shit. He said, Uncle Reg, don't you hate when you sit on the toilet and your dick in the water?
That's what makes the final months of his life even more unsettling. Because behind the touring, the performances, and the public appearances, reports suggest there were already serious problems developing privately, and according to investigators and later interviews, those tensions may have been building for months before everything turned deadly. The the case took a shocking turn in August 2025 when police in South Haven, Mississippi responded to reports of a shooting at a residence connected to Cat Williams.
Allegedly found dead, shot 5 times in front of Cat Williams' home. Allegedly, Cat Williams.
When officers arrived at the scene, they found Reggie Carroll suffering from multiple shotgun wounds. Emergency responders attempted life-saving measures before Carroll was transported to a hospital, where he later died from his injuries. The news spread fast through comedy circles. At first, many fans were confused about how someone closely connected to a major comedy tour ended up at the center of such a violent incident. But things became even more shocking once authorities identified the suspect, Tranell Williams, Cat Williams' longtime security guard. Tranell, who had reportedly worked closely with Cat for years, was arrested in connection with Carroll's death. Months later, a grand jury officially indicted him on first-degree murder charges, escalating the case dramatically.
All right, now Tranell is the bodyguard that is charged in the death of Reggie Carroll, the comedian, the late comedian Reggie Carroll.
I prayed and wished that there was a scenario where none of this took place, and I went out of my way to make sure it was a last resort. Reggie had a drug problem that all of his friends and family were aware of.
But one detail changed everything in the public conversation. Reports revealed that the home where the shooting happened was allegedly leased through a company owned by Cat Williams. That instantly pulled Cat's name into headlines surrounding the case, even though he was not accused of being involved in the shooting itself.
But now what we do know is that on Wednesday, our bro was killed, shot 5 to 6 times in South Haven. What we do know, the house that he was allegedly found in front of allegedly belongs to Cat Williams. Now, when they did the research, they claiming that some LLC out of China owned the house, but we all know what that be. That's protecting your assets. But at the end of the day, what we do know...
Online speculation exploded almost overnight. People began asking why both men were staying at a property connected to Cat. Others questioned what kind of relationship existed between Carroll and Tranell behind the scenes. And once internet detectives started digging deeper into interviews and social media posts, the story only became more complicated. Because according to Tranell, this wasn't a sudden argument that spiraled out of control in one night. He claims the situation had allegedly been dangerous for months. And what he said next would completely reshape the public narrative surrounding the case. After the indictment became public, Tranell Williams began speaking openly about what he says really happened inside the Mississippi home. In interviews, he painted a picture of constant tension, fear, and repeated confrontations during the 3 months he and Reggie Carroll allegedly lived together. According to Tranell, Carroll had pulled firearms on him multiple times before the fatal shooting ever happened.
I've already reported him on several occasions that he's pointing a gun at me, and since he's not being punished, there was nothing to deter him from constantly doing that.
He claimed the confrontations became so serious that he started documenting incidents because he believed the situation was becoming increasingly dangerous.
Right here though, bro. I stay right here. I just called Cat. It's witnesses right here, bro.
One statement especially caught public attention when Tranell said, "I ran 10 times," describing repeated attempts to avoid escalating conflict inside the house. Tranell also claimed he recorded some of the altercations as evidence. Reports later surfaced, suggesting footage existed, showing Carroll allegedly displaying a weapon during one confrontation. Those claims quickly fueled online debates, with some people believing Tranell's self-defense argument, while others questioned whether the full story was being told publicly. Another major detail added even more controversy to the case. According to Tranell, Carroll was allegedly using substances including crystal meth and Molly during the time they lived together. It's important to note those allegations have not been independently confirmed in court.
Reggie had a drug problem that all of his friends and family were aware of. So if someone want to come contest that, then hey, then everything I'm saying is false. If y'all can say he wasn't on drugs, he wasn't a prohibited possessor, he didn't have that gun, okay, he wasn't threatening me with the gun.
However, Tranell argued that the indictment could actually help his defense because it would allow subpoena power to obtain toxicology reports that he believes could support his version of events. Tranell also pointed out legal differences between himself and Carroll regarding firearms. Reports indicate Tranell legally possessed a concealed weapons permit in Mississippi. At the same time, court records from Maryland reportedly showed Carroll had prior felony convictions that legally prohibited him from possessing firearms. to supporters of Tranell's self-defense claim. Those details painted a picture of a man trapped in a dangerous living situation. But critics argued there were still too many unanswered questions surrounding the shooting itself. And then another layer of the story surfaced, one that dragged Cat Williams directly into public speculation in a way nobody expected. As more information came out, attention slowly shifted away from just the shooting itself and toward the strange connections surrounding everyone involved. Reports revealed that Reggie Carroll had allegedly been staying at the Mississippi property after being removed from Cat Williams' mansion. According to Tranell, Cat personally arranged for Carroll to stay at the South Haven house with him. That single detail changed the entire conversation online. Suddenly, social media users began questioning how deeply Cat Williams was connected to the situation behind the scenes. To be clear, Cat Williams has not been charged with any crime, and there is no public evidence linking him directly to the shooting itself.
I want to know the why. For me, and it may not be my business, but that's my bro. I done known this man for almost 30 years. I want to know the why. I know he can be one of the wildest niggas. You know, it's Baltimore, baby.
But because both men were closely connected to him professionally, and because the property itself was allegedly tied to one of Cat's companies, many people started demanding answers publicly, and Cat's own public image only intensified the speculation. For years, Cat Williams has built a reputation as one of Hollywood's most outspoken comedians. He's known for explosive interviews, controversial claims about the entertainment industry, and warning audiences about what he describes as hidden truths behind fame and power. So when this tragedy became connected to his inner circle, many online immediately viewed the situation through that same lens of mystery and suspicion. Some fans defended Cat completely, arguing that his only connection was employing both men at different times. Others believed there had to be more happening privately that the public still didn't understand. Then, another comedian stepped directly into the controversy and publicly challenged Cat Williams in front of millions online. Just when the case was already becoming one of the most talked about stories in comedy circles, another voice suddenly pushed the controversy into overdrive. Comedian and YouTuber Billy Sorrells uploaded an emotional Instagram video reacting to Reggie Carroll's death, and within hours, clips from the video were spreading across social media. Sorrells didn't directly accuse Cat Williams of committing a crime, but he openly questioned why Carroll died at a property connected to Cat and demanded that the comedian publicly address what happened.
Tell us what happened to Reggie Carroll. Yeah, go tag the blogs. Don't sit here and be quiet now. Why y'all left Reggie out there on the motherfucking curb by your crib?
His frustration was obvious, especially because he described Carroll as someone respected by many comedians behind the scenes. In the video, Sorrells referenced Cat's public image as someone who frequently speaks about exposing truth inside Hollywood. He questioned why Cat had remained publicly silent while speculation around the case continued growing online. For many viewers, the emotional intensity of the video made the situation feel even more mysterious. And because Sorrells himself is connected to the comedy world, people immediately began dissecting every word he said. Some viewers believed he was hinting at hidden information. Others argued he was simply grieving publicly and demanding clarity after the shocking death of someone he respected. But despite the internet frenzy that followed, there is still no publicly confirmed evidence linking Cat Williams to wrongdoing in the case. Authorities have focused their investigation on the shooting itself and the conflict between Tranell Williams and Reggie Carroll. Cat has not been charged with any crime, and as of now, he has not publicly responded to the accusations or online speculation surrounding his connection to the property. That silence only fueled more rumors. Across YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and podcast platforms, theories began spreading rapidly. Some people questioned whether deeper tensions existed inside Cat Williams' circle. Others focused on the strange details surrounding Carroll's living situation before his death. And because Cat is already known for controversial interviews and explosive claims about Hollywood, many viewers naturally assumed there had to be more beneath the surface. Suddenly, the story transformed from a tragic shooting investigation into a full-blown internet mystery. But while social media focused heavily on Cat Williams and celebrity speculation, investigators were looking at another disturbing part of the case entirely. As Tranell Williams continued publicly defending himself, another series of allegations emerged that added even more tension to the case. According to Tranell, Reggie Carroll had allegedly been using substances including crystal meth and Molly during the period they lived together in Mississippi. These claims have not been independently confirmed in court, and no official toxicology findings have been publicly released at this stage. Still, Tranel repeatedly brought up the allegations during interviews because he believes they support his self-defense argument and help explain what he described as increasingly unpredictable behavior inside the house.
Reggie had a drug problem that all of his friends and family were aware of.
Tranel claimed the atmosphere in the residence became unstable long before the fatal shooting happened. According to his version of events, arguments and confrontations allegedly escalated over time until he feared for his safety. He insisted that he tried to avoid violence repeatedly and even documented incidents because he believed things could eventually turn deadly. One of the most controversial parts of his defense is his argument that the murder indictment may actually help clear his name. Tranel explained that once the case enters deeper legal proceedings, subpoena power could allow his attorneys to obtain toxicology reports and additional evidence he believes will strengthen his self-defense claim. His legal team is also expected to present recordings, witness testimony, and documented confrontations they say support Tranel's account of events inside the house. If those recordings become public during trial proceedings, they could dramatically shift public perception of the case. But for many people following the story, the tragedy goes beyond courtroom arguments. Just months earlier, Reggie Carroll had been performing on national comedy tours, sharing stages with major entertainers, and continuing to build his career. Now his name was tied to allegations involving violence, substance abuse claims, and a deadly criminal investigation that dominated online headlines. And perhaps the most unsettling part for longtime fans was how quickly many people in the comedy industry seemed to go quiet. Very few major comedians publicly addressed the situation in detail. Some stayed completely silent. Others briefly posted condolences before moving on. That silence only deepened public curiosity, especially because comedy circles are often known for being tightly connected behind the scenes. For some viewers, it felt like there were still important pieces of the story missing, and that opened the door to a much larger conversation about the darker realities hiding inside the entertainment world itself. As the case continued unfolding online, many people began looking beyond the shooting itself and focusing on the environment surrounding everyone involved. Because behind the jokes, sold-out tours, and viral interviews, the comedy industry has long carried a reputation for pressure, instability, and personal struggles that audiences rarely see publicly. Many stand-up comedians spend years living unpredictable lifestyles while chasing success. Constant travel, unstable income, relationship problems, exhaustion, and mental stress can quietly build over time. Some comedians have openly admitted that the pressure to constantly entertain people while privately struggling emotionally can become overwhelming. Others have spoken about addiction issues, depression, paranoia, or feeling isolated despite performing in front of huge crowds every night. In many cases, comedians become known for making audiences laugh while hiding serious personal battles away from the spotlight. That's partly why this case captured so much public attention. People weren't just looking at a criminal investigation. They were looking at a tragic collision involving fame, pressure, unstable living conditions, alleged conflict, and people connected to one of comedy's most controversial stars. And Katt Williams' public reputation added another layer to the fascination. For years, Katt has spoken openly about what he describes as hidden problems inside Hollywood and the entertainment business. His interviews often focus on manipulation, betrayal, exploitation, and the darker side of fame. So when a deadly incident became connected to people within his circle, many fans immediately viewed the situation through that same lens of suspicion and secrecy. Still, despite the conspiracy theories flooding social media, investigators have publicly focused on the roommate dispute and Tranel Williams' self-defense claims rather than broader celebrity theories. But the unanswered questions continue keeping the story alive online. Why were tensions allegedly escalating for months before the shooting? What exactly happened inside the house that night? What evidence will eventually surface in court? And will Katt Williams ever publicly address the growing speculation surrounding his connection to everyone involved? Those unanswered questions are exactly why the story continues spreading across the internet long after the initial headlines faded. Because people aren't just searching for facts anymore, they're searching for the hidden story behind the story. What started as a shocking shooting investigation has now grown into something far bigger than one tragic night in Mississippi. Reggie Carroll's death exposed tensions, accusations, rumors, and deeply personal struggles surrounding people connected to the comedy world. At the center of it all is Trena Williams, a longtime security guard for Cat Williams, who still insists he acted in self-defense and says evidence will eventually prove his version of events. As he awaits trial under strict bond conditions, the public continues debating whether this was truly a case of self-defense or whether critical details still haven't come to light. Meanwhile, Cat Williams remains one of the biggest unanswered pieces of the story. Although no evidence has publicly linked him to criminal wrongdoing, his connection to both men and to the property where the shooting happened has kept his name tied to the case across social media and entertainment news platforms. And because Cat has built his career around exposing uncomfortable truths and challenging Hollywood narratives, many fans continue waiting to see whether he will eventually break his silence. Until then, speculation will continue growing, because until more evidence comes out in court, people will keep asking the same question: what really happened behind the scenes before Reggie Carroll lost his life? Let us know your thoughts in comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like this video to support the channel. Subscribe to Hollyhype TV for the latest updates, and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Until next time, peace out.